Hello students. So in this video we will look at the notion of conditional PDF for jointly continuous random variables. So we have so far seen how to study the joint PDF, that is jointly continuous for jointly continuous random variables. So in particular what we know is, if I have some probability of this form and it's a single random variable, then I can write probability of x less than or equal to x less than or equal to x plus delta as for a small tiny delta I can rewrite this as fxx delta. Now similar manner, if I have a joint distribution, which you will say that probability of small x less than or equal to capital X less than or equal to x plus delta and small y less than or equal to capital Y less than or equal to y plus, let us say, epsilon, then this we have already seen, if both delta and epsilon are very small, then f of xy, that is the initial points, into delta into epsilon. This is what the probability is. Now we want to bring in the notion of conditional PDF. So the starting point is joint PDF, as you know. So my starting point is this particular notion, that is fxy xy. Right. When we did, let us bring in the analogy of discrete random variables to avoid any confusion. So when we did that, what we did is, if I want to define px given y of x small x given small y, then we actually used the joint PMF and divided it with the marginal PMF, and this particular thing is defined when pyy is greater than 0. If it is equal to 0, it is not defined. Correct. So now the problem is, if I want to say x given y, then probability of y is equal to y is always going to be small, but the relaxing or we are very fortunate that these fxy do not denote the probabilities, but they denote the rate of change of probabilities. So we have to deal with rate of change, not the probability itself. So even if probability is 0, if the rate of change is non-zero, we will try to analyze, can we define the conditional PDF. So I want to reach to some level like this. This is the ideal way in which I can. So let us try to focus on the one that is written in red, this one. So if I have this, then I know that for some reason, if it's a small interval delta for some epsilon greater than 0 and epsilon small, I don't worry about delta now. What I know is, I can write this expression in this form. Now let delta be not small. So in that case, what will happen? If I have something like probability of small x less than or equal to capital X less than or equal to some x plus, let us say, some t, it doesn't matter, x plus t, and I have this particular thing, that is y less than or equal to capital Y less than or equal to y plus epsilon. Let this remain as it is. Then how will I calculate this integral? Then based on our assumption of existence of probability density function, joint probability density function, I can replace this with a small interval, and I can replace this large interval by integral. So what I will write here is integral over x to x plus t f x y. This is a dummy variable, so I will use a dummy variable s, and for this I will use this approximation, that is y times epsilon into ds. This is an important step. So if you accept this step, then most of my problem is resolved. For example, now if you look at this particular integral, here what I have done is I have actually approximated it with the value of a function times epsilon over that small interval, and otherwise I am taking the value varying over all x's. This will give me a nice approximation of probabilities. So if you want to be precise, this equality is actually nothing but approximately equal. Okay, so now let us start with our basic idea of having y less than or equal to y plus epsilon in the denominator. So now, based on the concept of probability of events, this particular event is well defined. What is the event? Y less than or equal to capital Y less than or equal to y plus epsilon. So the event is actually, let us say this event is A, this event is A, and this event is B. So the event is probability of A intersection B. I want to define a conditional probability now. A given B. Then I know it is equivalent to saying probability of small x less than or equal to capital X less than or equal to x plus t, small y less than or equal to capital Y less than or equal to y plus epsilon upon probability of small y less than or equal to capital Y less than or equal to y plus epsilon. Okay, so now I will use some concept of marginal random variables. So let me first create some space here. Okay, after creating the space, let us start with this and let us try to analyze what this probability means. So if you come to the denominator, this denominator is actually a marginal probability of y, and this interval is small, epsilon is very small. So I can write the denominator as fyy times epsilon, no problem, because fyy will be greater than 0 in this particular interval. Somehow I know that. If fyy is 0, there is no point in discussing that event, right? Because the probability of that event will be 0. Okay, let us go ahead and try to use this approximation that we have generated, this full approximation that we have generated for our setup. So if I use this approximation, then what I will get, this is nothing but probability integral over x to x plus t fx comma y s comma y times epsilon ds. Now simply throw this epsilon out, because this epsilon is a constant and it is very small. So I get integral over x to x plus t f of xy s y ds, epsilon is thrown out, upon epsilon times fy of y, right? So now, because epsilon will always be greater than 0, so I can actually cancel off this. Now what we started with, we started with some conditional probability right here. This conditional probability was actually dependent on epsilon, and what we are ending up with is something which is independent of epsilon. Okay, so now in order to resolve this issue, let us take the limit of the conditional probability that we started with, the one that is highlighted in blue color. Okay, and what you will get, let us see that. So limit as epsilon tending to 0 of probability of small x less than or equal to capital X less than or equal to x plus t given small y less than or equal to capital Y less than or equal to y plus epsilon, taking the limit as epsilon tending to 0. This should give me, because this epsilon tends to 0, y is less than or equal, capital Y is less than or equal to y. By sandwich theorem, this limit should fetch me probability of x less than or equal to capital X less than or equal to x plus t, given capital Y is equal to small y. Okay. So my left hand side actually becomes this, and then you come to the previous equation. This is going to be equal to, now you see this fy of y. This fy of y, when y is fixed, is actually a constant. So whether it is inside the integral or outside the integral doesn't matter. So I will pull this inside the integral and I will write this expression as x to x plus t f xy of s comma y upon f y of y ds. And this particular term that you have as an integrand is nothing but our conditional PDF. So I will denote it with a new notation, that is, I can write this in a new notation as integral over x to x plus t f x given y ds. Sorry, this should be s now. 1 minute, let me be very precise because it's a dummy index, so I should not make any mistakes. S ds. Yes, this is what my conditional PDF will look like. The integrand is the conditional PDF. So we have established the notion of conditional PDF. So I can replace this delta, now I can replace this with small delta, and I can say this, if the delta is small, this should be equal to this. There is no issue. So in particular, based on this derivation, my notion of conditional PDF I can define as this to be equal to the joint distribution of x and y upon fy of y. This brings us to a very familiar rule in probability, that is multiplication rule in probability. So if I have a joint distribution f of xy for the values x and y, then I can write this as the conditional PDF of f of x given y for values x given y into the marginal of fyy, and this goes in sync with this formulation. So in particular, if you have more than 2 random variables, use appropriate multiplication rule. So we have established the multiplication rule also, and as we expected, this is simply by replacing the joint PMFs by joint PDFs. Though the interpretations are very different, when we look at the practical perspective, it simply denotes the replacement of joint PMF by joint PDF, right? But you should always remember the underlying idea that we have discussed just now. So this basically, then, what is the intuitive meaning of this conditional PDF? So this conditional PDF for any given value of y actually denotes a section of fxy, and when this section of fxy do not depend on y, we say the random variables are independent. That is, fx given y of x given y is equal to fxx, that is equivalent to marginal. Then we say the random variables are independent. Okay, let us try to understand this using this figure. So this figure you have already seen once. This is the figure of joint PDF. So let this be x, let this be y, x and y. This figure is drawn from Pittman's book on probability. Okay, so now this particular dome shaped structure denotes the joint probability density function. Now we are doing some experiments with this joint probability density function in order to calculate the values of x and y. So when I do these experiments, that is when I fix the values of x and y, so this is x axis, this is y axis, then you take this value as x, you fix that value of x, and when you are talking about the conditional PDF, then what you are doing is you are actually going through this line, and from this you are actually so if that x is here, from that point you will go to the straight, you will go in a straight line, which I cannot do here but I can do it here. You will go in a straight line and you will take the curve, the shape of the curve that is just above this line. Okay. Once you do this, this particular shape will not be a density, right, because it may not integrate to 1, because it is not divided by the marginal of y. So this shape, then you go to the other side and take the marginal of y, that will be this, right, and you divide it by that constant, that marginal of y. Then the new rescaled version of this will be given here, and that this is our x, and the rescaled version is now this. Now if you look at this particular image, that is the second image that I am showing the cursor on, you look at this particular density. It has a very small dome shape, right, but when you go to the rescaling, you can see the tops are increasing more and more, right. So this is because of the rescaling of the density of the Fy. As you can see here, conditioned on that, the probability may increase significantly, correct. So this is a clear-cut demonstration of how the rate of change of probability changes when you give the conditioning. And after this is after renormalizing by the marginal density. This is y given x is equal to x, and this is this particular figure actually denotes x given y is equal to y, right. So this figure, if you can look at this figure by pausing the video and try to understand this figure will say 1,000 words. So make sure that you understand this figure, and this is how the conditioning works. Okay. So that's all about conditional probability. Let us put all these things in one example and try to understand the concepts that we have studied for continuous random variables and joint continuous random variables. So the example that I am discussing is very simple. So let us break the chalk of unit length. Imagine this is a chalk. I am breaking this chalk of unit length twice. So in order to break it twice, first I have to break this, then whatever is the length that is left over, from that I will break the chalk. Okay. So in that case, let x denote the length of the broken piece in the first attempt. So now depending on which piece I choose, I will have the other random variable y, which will denote the length of the broken piece in the second attempt. Because I am choosing the length of the broken piece in the second attempt, let me choose. So first thing is, what is the range of this random variable x? It is a chalk of a unit length, so it will be a uniform distribution on 0, 1. Once I have broken the chalk, the other piece is not available to me. So I need to work with the piece that is the first piece. So I will say that the length of that piece, if the chalk is broken at level x, then the length of that piece is 0 to x. So your y now depends on the interval 0 to x, and this x is a random variable. Okay. So this is the beauty of this. See, some people may argue that you can choose the random variable from x to 1, that is the other part, correct. In that case it is not indicative of length, because this x, if you have broken the piece at half and you are taking this interval to be x to 1, then you are talking about the interval half to 1. So that will not be the length of the chalk. So even if you break here and you take the first piece or you take the second piece, you assume without loss of generality that it is the starting point. That is, the chalk, the broken part, the first broken part is taken from the starting point and not from x to 1. Okay. So this is what the assumption that I am working with. So I will eliminate this choice. I don't want to use this choice. I will start with 0 to x. Okay. So the question asks you to compute expected value of y. Okay, interesting. But this y, you need to find marginal. If you want to find expected value using the definition, you need to first find marginal of y. Intuitive answer: suppose I have been given a uniform distribution. I have been given an uniform distribution over 0, 1, and the second conditional distribution that is given to me is again a uniform distribution over some other interval. Then what should be the expected value of y? It should be, so first what will be the expected value of this particular random variable when it is uniform? It will be half, and using that expected value, if I calculate the other expected value, then it will be half more. So that should, naturally the answer, intuitive guess, is 1 by 4. Let us see whether this guess matches with our calculations. So what are the things that we need to do? First of all, this is not an easy experiment. Your length x is independent of y, but y depends on x. I mean, independent of y means y cannot play any role when x is happening, right? So that way it is independent, but probabilistically it will be dependent. So now first you have broken a chalk piece, right? So essentially I want to apply the multiplication rule. So you have broken the chalk piece, so I know that fx of x is equal to, because the chalk piece had unit length 1 and 0, and for 0 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 1, and this is otherwise, correct. So I know the marginal distribution of x, that is clear. The main purpose is to find the joint distribution of x. Just now we have proved the multiplication rule, and based on that multiplication rule I got this. So I am just applying the multiplication rule. There is nothing new. Fxx I already know. What I need to determine now is this fy given x. Okay, but fy given x, do I know something? If the chalk is broken at length x, then y given x will be, the chalk we can have a length of 0 to x, and it is uniform distribution. So I know this also, that is f of y given x, small y given small x, is equal to, so now it is the length 0 to x, so 1 upon b minus a, so that will be 1 upon x minus 0, that should give me 1 by x for y varying between 0 to x, and otherwise it should be 0. Wonderful. So I have a joint PDF which is given by, I can combine both of them, which is given by 1 by x, and now it is very crucial to know the ranges: 0 less than or equal to y less than or equal to x less than or equal to 1. Okay, and then 0 otherwise. So I hope you are clear, because fxx is 1, Therefore multiplying by 1 do not play any role. So finally the answer will come as 1 by x, and this will be my joint PDF. So let us look at where is this PDF located, because the region is somewhat absurd, right? So let us draw a coordinate axis and try to see where this region is located. So this is my x-axis, this is my y-axis, x, y. On x-axis I have 0 to 1 as a length. There is no confusion about this. And on y-axis I have some restriction, right? So y is always less than or equal to x, but x varies from 0 to 1. So y also can go up, let us say this point is point 1, and therefore I can draw this point over here. Okay, and then you can draw a line y is equal to x joining these two things together. So this is the line y is equal to x. Let us write it, y is equal to x line. Now it can be anywhere in the rectangle, but I have to respect these conditions, y less than or equal to x. So y is always varying between 0 to x. That means my y, x is varying from 0 to 1, and y is always going to be less than or equal to x. So I should get this kind of behavior. So this triangle will be the region for me. Yes. So I am having this triangle as a region. Okay. Fine. So I got the answer. So this particular thing is a uniform distribution over this triangle which is shaded in blue. Can I compute the marginal of y? So marginal of y is nothing but integral over fxy dx, right? But you remember there is a condition over y, and that y is always less than or equal to x, and I am varying over x. So in this case, if y is fixed, I cannot vary this over all the range. That is why I am respecting this condition. Right? So if I want to compute the marginal, the integral should go from y to 1 by x dx, and in that case my integral will turn out to be minus ln of y, natural log of y, for 0 less than or equal to y less than or equal to 1. That's fine. So I got this, and then you need to compute the expected value of y, which is very easy because I have the integral from 0 to 1, and I know the marginal probability density of y fy of y. Therefore I can easily compute this integral. It will come out to be y times ln of y. Use integration by parts or some standard technique that you are aware of, and you will get the integral to be equal to 1 by 4. So our intuition matches with our actual calculation, and therefore we are right. Okay, so now if we go by the belief that it is the interval x to 1, right? So for example, when I said the length of y, it may not denote length of y, but suppose somebody wants to evaluate that value, then what can it be? It is going from x to 1. So my conditional probability density, because it is going from x to 1, this will be a mirror image of this triangle, the region, and my conditional density will have something of the form 1 minus x, because that will be the length of the interval. Length of the interval will be 1 minus x. So 1 upon 1 minus x, and then you will do the same thing. You will get this to be length to be equal to 3 by 4. Just verify for your convenience, and this summarizes our notion of conditional PDF, and we have looked at all the concepts involved, like marginal, joint, how to find the joint using conditional, how to use multiplication rule, and how to see the when the joint distributions when the random variables are not independent. It will greatly benefit you if you look at the distributions through conditional universe. That's all for now. In the next video we will see continuous Bayes rule.